Hello everyone and welcome back to the 100k budget fuel challenge. I don't have anything else to say, so let's get into it. So, for round 6, we're gonna be racing at Deep Forest Raceway with fuel consumption set to 12x. But given there is 19 competitors left, that is pretty much just a recipe for uneven heats. As usual, if no one runs out of fuel, we're doing regular eliminations. More specifically, there's gonna be a heat of 10, in which the bottom 4 is eliminated if no one runs out, and a heat of 9, in which the bottom 3 is eliminated if no one runs out. You got all of that? Good. And with everything explained, let's get on with the said races. So, for the first heat, we have Marionette, Terra Hockey's Art, Spike 1999, Agato, Vigilante SVT, Ferrari GT Sport, Dry Riser Inlet, Kirby, Julie Canotto, and Freddy Fuel Bear. There's only so many variants of the race has started I can say before I start sounding like I'm repeating myself. Terra in the Super Beast successfully overtakes Marionette, however, he isn't really able to pull away before getting overtaken by Agato, Ferrari, and Freddy Fuel Bear. Following them 3 as they also successfully overtake the Super Beast is Dry Riser Inlet, who heading through this section of the track as he tries to catch up, he nearly goes wide into the grass. Does that matter? Of course not, because he caught up to Agato anyway. Though now he has to find an overtaking opportunity in order to make it past the WRX. Same for Kirby, who successfully overtook the Super Beast as well. Things are not looking good for Terra, with Spike 1999 and Julie Canotto also closing in the gap between him. While that is happening, it looks like Vigilante SVT is the last person to overtake Marionette. As a result, he has quite a bit of time to gain back, which he does by first reaching Spike 1999's overtaking distance. Meanwhile, the Super Beast has been overtaken by Julie Canotto and as a result is now in the bottom 4. His only hope of advancing to the next round now is if somebody runs out of fuel. Further in the front, it also looks like Agato has been overtaken by Kirby, however, the WRX overtakes the M2 competition back on this corner. However, what the WRX did was not actually enough to firmly cement the position gain. As a result, he gets overtaken by Kirby again alongside being overtaken by Julie Canotto's RX-8. While he makes it to the second lap, he now also is trying to overtake Kirby on the straight, with Kirby actually putting up a fight in the M2 competition. Unfortunately for him though, he wasn't able to prevent an overtaking opportunity taking place. He is now in 4th place trying to catch back up to Dry Riser Inlet in 3rd place, who themselves is trying to battle against Ferrari in the Crossbow R. And while all of that is taking place, Freddy Fuel Bear is using that opportunity to pull away from everyone, which, as much as I hate to say it, only adds to the predictableness. Either way, Dry Riser Inlet is now being chased down by Julie Canotto, with the RX-8 now trying to overtake their C4 Corvette. While these two battle against each other, it looks like Kirby has been left behind. Same goes for Agato, by the way, since I guess they weren't really able to keep up with their competition. And speaking of the they-them pronouns, Dry Riser Inlet is being overtaken by Julie Canotto's RX-8, resulting in their C4 Corvette no longer being on the podium. Switching the camera over to 2nd place, it looks like the next target of the RX-8 is Ferrari in the Crossbow R. Freddy Fuel Bear, however, is completely unbothered by all of this in 1st place. Regardless, as you can see, the RX-8 is really damn OP because it is already closing in the gap between the Crossbow R. Meanwhile, in the back, Agato seems to be getting left behind even more as we speak, as new challengers start to slowly catch up to him, and those challengers are Spike 1999 and Vigilante SVT. I guess they really had no problems with overtaking Terra's Super Beast off-screen. What's also noteworthy is that Vigilante SVT is yet to overtake the Civic. And Marionette is also nowhere to be seen. Either way, now that we are on the final lap, Agato seems to be trying to make sure those two hooligans do not catch up to him. And I'm not calling them hooligans because they're actually hooligans, I'm just kind of trying to look at it from Agato's perspective. Either way, the Vigilante 8-mobile and the Civic are slowly catching up to the WRX, as you can see in this replay camera. More noticeably, the Civic, which is slowly but steadily getting close to Agato's overtaking distance. See that? Despite the corners being Agato's specialties, it actually looks like Spike 1999 is simply racing better than him at these corners. Matter of fact, Vigilante SVT is also making great progress on catching up. And things between these three are only going to get even closer on this high-speed section which they just made it to. Spike 1999 reaches overtaking distance of the WRX, but while all of that is happening in the back, in the meantime, back in the front of the grid, it looks like Ferrari has been overtaken by Julie Canotto, who in the RX-8 has also closed in the gap between the C7 Corvette of Freddy Fuelbears. I guess what I said earlier really is true. Not even picking a car for the lulz can save Julie Canotto from surprisingly being competitive. However, he doesn't actually overtake Freddy Fuelbear, who finishes first, while he is second, with neither of the two running out of fuel, and same can be said for Ferrari in third and Dry Riser Inlet in fourth. Kirby's close to running out, but he manages to cross the finish line in time. And as for who's in 6th place, it looks like the person coming out on top in all of this is Agato. This means we have to say goodbye to Marionette, Terra Hockey's Art, Spike 1999, and Vigilante SVT. For the second heat, we have Dog Hitting Hamster, the Sigma Thruster, Stoleless Enthusiast, Marzo, Zetsu, Vic, Cassidy J, Reagan, and A-Lord GT. What I said in Heat 1. Anyways, Dog Hitting Hamster seems to be getting overtaken right away by the Sigma Thruster, claiming first place only for a moment though, because everybody that's faster than him except for Stoleless Enthusiast and Cassidy J overtake him right away. A-Lord GT, who is already on the podium spot, is trying to chase down Reagan and Marzo. As a result of that, the Pits and the DS3 are trying to fight back against it. Unfortunately for them, it's not enough as the 370Z reaches overtaking distance. It also looks like the Sigma Thruster has been overtaken by Cassidy J and Stoleless Enthusiast, with them now trying to gain back the time they lost while being held off by the Megane, which also leaves Dog Hitting Hamster as the last one to overtake the Sigma Thruster. Not to say that Dog Hitting Hamster isn't trying to put in effort into overtaking, but it really does look like the Sigma Thruster is trying to make sure the Auto Bianchi does not overtake him. While that is happening, it appears Stoleless Enthusiast has already pulled away from the two of them. Now, like I said earlier, trying to catch back up to the others in the grid. Cassidy J, on the other hand, has already succeeded in the said task. Not only that, but he also succeeded in overtaking Zetsu's 4C, with him now trying to do the exact same catch-up and overtake maneuver on Marzo, who, if you're wondering, has unfortunately been overtaken by the Pits 370Z and S15, not even being on the podium anymore. But speaking of the podium, Vit is actively trying to battle against Reagan's Pits. Meanwhile, in the very front, it already looks like the 370Z of A-Lords is leading. Regardless, Vit successfully overtakes Reagan, and is now attempting to pull away from the Pits. Further back, Cassidy J already reached the DS3's overtaking distance. Even though the 4C is right behind, it doesn't actually look like Zetsu is as successful in reaching overtaking distance as the Focus ST. But the one thing that may actually help Zetsu out here is that he just encountered another case of you may be in overtaking distance, but that doesn't immediately guarantee an overtake. As you can see, the fact that Cassidy J isn't really able to overtake Martso is allowing him to stay close to the Focus, and also making things less predictable and more entertaining to commentate. Cassidy J once again tries to overtake the DS3, but once again does not really succeed in doing that. Meanwhile, in the back, Stolus Enthusiast is unfortunately struggling to keep up with the people that are in front of him. Same can be said for the Sigma Thruster, who, if you're wondering, is still ahead of Dog-Hitting Hamster, who is in dead last. I guess the Autobianchi really wasn't able to keep up with the Megane after all. I really do feel bad for these two, but I guess they had it coming since they were the slowest cars here. They easily just cruise through the speed section as they are unfortunately not able to keep up with their competition. It's a shame. And despite pretty much gapping them at this point, Stolus Enthusiast is also the exact same case. Meanwhile, further in the front, it looks like Cassidy J really wasn't successful in overtaking Martso. However, with one lap yet to be completed, things may be changing soon. And I guess they kind of do, because Zetsu is in overtaking distance as well. Unfortunately for the 4C, if its goal was to overtake Martso before Cassidy J, then he already failed. In the meantime, Reagan has successfully pulled away from the Focus ST, DS3, and 4C. Kind of interesting how the three of those car names actually rhyme with each other. Anyways, I know that they may as well have been as good as non-existent in this commentary up to this point, but just know that he is doing very well in second place. Cassidy J also seems to be trying to pull away from Martso the same way Vid did with Reagan, but it doesn't look like he's... Oh wait, never mind, it does look like he is succeeding in doing that. My apologies for the misleading commentary. It kind of looks like he is trying to catch back up to Reagan as well, but I'm pretty sure we are already too late into the race for that. I find it kind of interesting how Viv was able to so casually pull away from the pits. But then I guess he does have an advantage on this track. Someone who's also been non-existent in this commentary race session is A-Lord GT, but that's mainly because there isn't really anything to note down about him. What can I say, it's just the usual combination of first place and a huge lead over second place that made him kind of boring to commentate today. But what is noteworthy is that he is running low on fuel, with the Z34 also being on the start-finish straight. But just like round 2, I guess the Z34 manages to pull through into the next round with barely any fuel to spare. Placing first while Vi in the S15 is second, Reagan in the pits is third, Cassidy J in the Focus ST is fourth, Martso is in fifth, and Zetsu is in sixth, resulting in this race's bottom 3 eliminations being kind of predictable ones at that. I feel bad for the 3, but the tournament must go on. And with it, Dog-Hitting Hamster, the Sigma Thruster, and Stolus Enthusiast take their leave. And that's about it for round 6. With everything we had to go through out of the way, we are now down to our 12 semi-finalists. Anyways, if you enjoyed, which I know you did, like the video, and maybe even consider subscribing, I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the semi-finals.